for some peace of mind, but TikTok said a gator drove a Jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat, and someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line, and Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. Oh, I'm just sitting here scrolling my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Yeah, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just...
Hey, you guys, it's Mo, and it is Tuesday morning, and we have all the stories. Like yesterday, I was pulling stories, and let's just say the Final Form Jesus stories are lit this morning. And if you had any one of them on your bingo card, I would like you to buy me a lotto ticket, please, if possible. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Wolfram, for all of your Modly Mod duties. Good morning, Kathy and Super T, and thank you so much for your kind words. Let's see here. Wolfram, I already said that. I need to start getting sleep, like actual restful sleep would be an interesting thought. Good morning, Squid Pro Quo and Flux. Yeah, having insomnia is kind of awesome because you have a lot of good thoughts, but then you're so incredibly tired you can barely put any of them to, action the following morning. But you do get good ideas. At least sometimes I do once in a while. Now, our first story is a really sad one, but I did want to wait until we got confirmation and some IDs on this story. It was in the headlines yesterday, but I always like to give it about a day just to make sure that everything is ID'd correctly. Unfortunately, a California mother and her 8-month-old child who have been missing for over a month were found dead in a canal. A California mother and her 8-month-old who vanished over a month ago were discovered inside a car submerged in a canal, according to authorities and reports. Now, 2 bodies were found in a second 2006 Chevrolet Trailblazer, the vehicle that Whisper Owen, 36, and her infant daughter, Sandra McCarthy, were last spotted inside in San Joaquin County on Sunday, the Fresno Police Department reported to the Post. Now, when police pinged Owens's phone, they discovered that it last responded near the canal area, her relatives told CBS Sacramento. Now, the vehicle was discovered pinned under a bridge with, unfortunately, the bodies of mother and daughter inside. The San Joaquin Sheriff's Office and Coroner's Office are still working to officially confirm, the identity and what might have happened inside this. They are sending out for DNA testing. Now, a search group with Adventures with Purpose and a diver, Juan Herrera, were searching for the missing mother-daughter duo in rural Oakdale when they made the grim discovery, according to CBS Sacramento. Now, they were reported missing, both the mother and daughter, July 15th after they'd left a doctor's appointment around 5 p.m. and headed to Elk Grove. Now, the mother and child were last spotted just northwest of Fresno in Atwater, where a traffic cam pinged Owen's silver 2006 Chevrolet Trailblazer around 8 p.m. Now, the SUV had notable damage to the driver's side headlight, and Owen's partner was waiting back at their home with her 2 other children when both mother and daughter failed to come home that night. Now, the rest of the family learned about the disappearance a few days later, relatives previously told local news. Now, it wasn't unusual for Owen to spend a few days visiting family in Fresno, which is probably why no one initially found the disappearance all that suspicious, nor did they report it. So it could be that, this was just something that she was kind of known to do, spend a couple days up there, kind of decompressing, hanging out with baby and relatives. So there, this case has been a little wonky. It's heartbreaking because I do know there was a fear when I first reported on this that there was some foul play suspected. And heartbreakingly, it doesn't appear to be foul play as of right now. Now, the investigation is still new, but it's a heartbreaking, thing when the best outcome is that the family has answers. And I wish it was a different way, but uh, whatever small comfort it is, they know what happened now, or at least are on their journey to know what happened. Now, family and friends of, the mother and baby are facing the heartbreaking news now. It means we can find some way to move forward and accept this loss. She has other children that have to find a way to move on without their mother or their baby sister. Richard Owen, Whisper's brother, told CBS Sacramento following the discovery of his sister. Now, Owens's friends previously told local outlets that she was a loving and attentive mother, and that's what made her disappearance so completely out of character. Now, Highway Patrol is investigating how the vehicle ended up in the canal, and Fresno police has already sent 2 detectives to continue. So this investigation is far from over, but I did want to report that tentatively, as of right now, they are presumed to be the mother and daughter who had gone missing several months back. Now, in news that will shock no one, headline breaking, Brian Koberger was a dick. I mean, we'd have thought with a quadruple homicide, he kind of, leveled up to just demon, but apparently before that, he was a dick. Brian Koberger faced at least 13 formal complaints at Washington State, including these offensive comments. Ooh, let's have an offense off. Brian Koberger was just days into his first semester at a doctoral program in criminology in Washington State University when administrators received their first formal complaint about his behavior. Douche says what? There would be 12 more over the next 13 months, so a baker's dozen, 13, according to newly unsealed documents and interviews with members of the WSU community obtained by People. Now, documents also contain multiple interviews with some women who made the complaints, including a divorced woman who claimed that the murderer told her that he didn't date, quote, broken women. As a broken dude, you shouldn't throw stones, sir. Like, your dating pool is incredibly slim. I don't know that I would, cast out divorced women, but I mean, sir, I'm sure you have a lovely group of suitors. You are probably playing your first, Gen Pop Bachelor. So good luck, and I hope you go home with a rose. And a deaf classmate who was asked by Koberger if she would be more comfortable procreating given the fact that she had a disability. What the hell, dude? One classmate told Idaho State Police that by September, Koberger had a reputation of being a dick. In 2022, at the fall term at WSU, which started on, August 18th, one of the staff members told Detective Gary Tolson of the Idaho State Police that a complaint had already been lodged against Koberger before the end of that month. Now, Koberger would soon become a weekly topic of discussion during different disciplinary meetings, said staff members who also told the detective that discussions would often pertain to Koberger's interaction with fellow postgraduate students, both in and out of the classroom, along with his behavior around some of his professors. Now, at first, the staff member just thought Koberger might be socially awkward, but over time she realized that the issue was how he spoke to staffs and student, and his alleged stating of outspoken discriminatory comments, which were homophobic, ableist, xenophobic, and misogynistic in nature. So he just wasn't politically correct. I mean, I can totally be on board with him being an arrogant dillhole, but I mean, well, it is Washington State, so maybe that's more egregious there, but that just sounds like being an ass. I mean, there you go. Oh God, the letters between those two. Can you imagine? Please let this happen. Now, she added he would also stare at other people or stand uncomfortably close or lean over women. And again, just add to that totally creeptastic, vibe he's got going on. Now, she invited Koberger to her office to discuss the complaints, and he said that his comments had been misunderstood or taken out of context. Sure, Jan. Now, one undergraduate who worked in the criminology department told ISP that Koberger would constantly come to her office and force her to speak with him or physically corner her as she left after work. Now, Koberger did eventually ask her out on a date, but she told him that he had a girl or that she had a girlfriend. Now, she said this didn't deter Koberger, however, and soon she would get rides home from her boss so that she wouldn't have to walk or take the bus alone. Now, this caused at least one person in her life to express concern about how many precautions she perceived were being taken because of Koberger. Now, the undergraduate student, who was just 19 at the time, recounted an incident in which her neighbor saw someone very close to her window. Now, soon after this, she learned that Koberger lived nearby. The a female student in Koberger's doctoral program told the ISP that he was a misogynist who made her feel deeply uncomfortable. Now, documents show that people often complained about how he spoke down to women or arrived late to classes taught by female professors. So much so that one group of classmates kept a broad tracking, of these sort of misogynistic incidents. The same student described Koberger as a narcissist who never displayed empathy toward another person and always wanted to be seen as the strongest, smartest, and most important person in the room. Now, I do wonder how much of this is hindsight 2020 stuff. If this was normal, he was just a dill hole, and then we layer on what we now know about him and these take on darker turns. Now, I will say the fact that he was persistent and disregarded a female student when she told him she was in a committed relationship to the point where she felt she needed a second party to drive her home, that's concerning. But the sort of misogynistic, homophobic, they're not great, but they're not anything that you don't hear on South Park or American Dad. So if he's not doing anything above and beyond the sort of, shock jock kind of Howard Stern South Park stuff as far as the comments, the real concerning part for me is that he refused to listen to a woman when she told him no and followed her home allegedly, or would try to corner her physically. I don't care if he, called divorced women broken. My bigger issue is that he seemed to have a consistent lack of boundaries with women, which does make his all-female defense, attorneys a bit of a cosmic, giggle. Here's a man who seems to, on the surface of things, disregard women as having intellect, agency, and, well, the ability to think about things. And then he gets put with an all-female defense, team. I bet that just singed his little, short and curlies. I hope it just singes them still. That being said, he's a convicted quadruple murderer. I didn't expect him to be a Boy Scout. Again, the concerning part is not sort of the rudeness that he displayed, but the lack of listening to boundaries. And that's the part that I find concerning. And I do wonder how much of this is coming out because of 2020 hindsight, and how much of this is going to be useful if we ever want to catch another Koberger. Are we going to be learning things that can help us do that rather than kind of label the jerky, ridiculous people in our lives as potential killers? I don't know how much it is, but it is a breaking headline and it's plastered everywhere. So he got 13, complaints. That being said, I still find his lack of, listening to women much more, worrisome than him being mean to, saying hurty words to women. Now, in royal news, and it doesn't involve a Markle, you can thank me later, it does look like the Crown Prince of Norway is going to be indicted on multiple charges, including SA, and faces up to 10 years in prison. Well, we go from one douchey blank stare to another, don't we? I mean, it's just a smorgasbord of douche this morning. Let's see. Norwegian prosecutors on Monday announced that they have indicted the eldest son of Norway's crown princess on multiple charges, including SA, after a lengthy investigation. Oslo State Attorney Slurtla Herksbo said that Marcus Borg Holby could face up to 10 years in prison if convicted, according to broadcaster NRK. Now, the indictment filed in Oslo District Court includes 32 counts, among them SA, abuse in a close relationship against one former partner, and acts of violence against another. Now, other charges include making death threats and traffic violations. Now, Holby is a 28-year-old son of Crown Princess Mette-Marit? No idea. Look, Norway, get back to me. And stepson to the heir of the throne, Crown Prince Haakon, who has no royal title or official duties. Now, he has been under scrutiny since he was repeatedly arrested last year on various allegations of wrongdoing. Now, he is free pending trial, and Hernsbo said there are currently no reasons to arrest or jail him quite now, so he is free to be on his own recognizance as of right now. Now, the prosecutor estimates that the trial could begin in mid-January and take about 6 weeks. Now, defense attorney Peter Sikluk said in an email response to the indictment that our client denies all charges of SA as well as the majority of charges regarding violence. He added that he will present a detailed count of his, version of events before the court. Now, beyond that, the Royal Palace said it's up to the courts to handle the case and reach a decision, and it had nothing to add beyond that. So I'm actually kind of impressed that he's doing bad things, and even though his tangential ties to the royal family haven't kept him out of trouble, that is kind of refreshing. I sincerely hope he wasn't a party to any of the gross things that he's alleged to have done, but he gets his day in court. So there you go. Another woman who got her day in court, well, the ketamine queen. That's right. Jasveen Sangha, or the ketamine queen, who allegedly sold the drugs that killed Matthew Perry, has accepted a plea deal in connection to the actor's death. Now, the glamorous ketamine queen drug dealer who, supplied the fatal dose that killed Friends star Matthew Perry has accepted a plea deal to numerous federal charges connected to the actor's death. Now, she agreed to plead guilty to 1 count of maintaining a drug-involved premises, 3 counts of distributing ketamine, and 1 for the distribution of ketamine resulting in death or serious bodily injury, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California. This was announced Monday. I mean, she's looking like she's living her best life, at least there. Now, she is expected to submit a formal plea in the coming weeks. Now, she still faces up to 45 years in prison if she is charged at the max of all of the charges, but it is unclear if her terms would be served either consecutively or concurrently. So that's something else that could, factor into it. Now, she is a dual citizen of the U.S. and the United Kingdom and admitted to dealing party drugs like ketamine and MDMA, along with other drugs like Xanax and cocaine, out of her North Hollywood home. Now, she has been behind bars since August 2024 after being arrested just more than a year after Perry's death. Now, the 54-year-old was found dead in his Los Angeles home on October 28, 2023, and ketamine was the primary cause of death. Now, prosecutors said that Senga provided him with dozens of doses of the dangerous drug, despite his struggle with addiction being widely covered in the media for years. Yeah, yes and no. I mean, she essentially gave him the bullet, but he put it in the, revolver. Addiction is a sad thing. And when you deal with people with addiction, when you have a close relationship with someone with addiction, it's heartbreaking. But until they're ready to change, there's nothing that's going to keep that, freedom seed out of that revolver unless they decide to change it. So while I do think that she shouldn't be distributing these things, he was going to get it from anywhere else that he wanted to, sadly. Now, when Perry died, Senga and the man she was, distributing these pharmaceuticals with took steps to distance themselves from Perry and even tried to blame his assistant for the death. I'm 90% sure everyone is protected. I never dealt with Perry, only his assistant. So the assistant was the enabler, Fleming told Sangra in a voicemail as the two spoke back and forth about scrubbing their connections to Perry. Now, she did admit to supplying ketamine to a man who died of an overdose hours later in August 2019, and she was accused of previously selling methamphetamines out of her home and dealing sometime around June 2019 as well. So she was in through multiple, drugs. Now, neighbors said something suspicious always appeared to be going on at her home, and people described shady characters with suitcases constantly going in and out at all hours. Now, Perry's death saw 4 people hit with serious drug charges, including 55-year-old San Diegan physician Mark Chavez, who pled guilty in October 2024 to conspiring to distribute ketamine. Now, he could be sent to jail for 10 years at his September sentencing. Now, Fleming pled guilty in August 2024 to ketamine dealing charges and faces 25 years in prison when sentenced in November. Perry's assistant, 60-year-old Kenneth Iamwasa, injected the actor with the fatal dose of ketamine and also pled guilty in August 2024 to conspiracy to distribute, causing death. Now, he faces up to 15 years at his November sentencing. So it looks like we're going to be seeing a rash of sentencings around the Halloween and Thanksgiving time period. So I hope to cover those. Again, addiction is not an easy thing. Either if you're struggling with addiction or you're struggling with a family member, friend, or loved one who is dealing with it, it is a struggle, and not everyone wins. And I wish we could have some better ways to help people. It's 2025. You think we could help people better, but I answer my own question because you can't help people that don't want to be helped. Well, speaking of people that may not be able to help themselves and probably shouldn't be helping with our law enforcement, this chick, and we will probably be doing this on Friday. So if I can get the body cam footage of this will be on Friday, pre-game. A Rhode Island prosecutor has threatened cops to shut off body cams while being arrested for allegedly trespassing. You're gonna regret it. A Rhode Island prosecutor demanded Newport police officers shut off their body cams as she was being put in the back of their cruiser for allegedly trespassing, warning the police that they were going to, quote, regret it, according to reports and authorities. Now, police arrived to find Special Assistant Attorney General Devin Hogan Flanagan and her friend Veronica Hanna outside Clark Cook House restaurant on Thursday evening when responding to a call about an unwanted party. Now, Flanagan was caught hurling a series of threats and trying to intimidate officers with her job title in a chaotic body cam footage, video that was released by the department. Now, as cops arrived, the prosecutor told the officers, "I want you to turn your body cam off. Protocol is that you turn it off. It's a citizen request that you turn it off," according to footage. They want you to leave. Let's just leave, an officer told Flanagan and Hannah as the women were, asked to walk away. The cops can be heard in the clip asking a man at the eatery's station if he wanted the women removed from the premises. Anything we can do, trespass yes, cuff them please, the man responded. We're not trespassing. You haven't notified us that we're trespassing, Flanagan said. Let's go. I don't want to arrest you guys, the officer replied. Now, after a continued struggle of getting the women to leave the restaurant and repeated requests for police to turn off their body cameras, Hannah tells the cop that Flanagan is a effing lawyer, so she knows. Well, that's bull effing, lawyer stuff, so it's not true, the officer fired back. I'm an AG. I am an AG. Flanagan replied, to which the officer yelled, good for you. I don't give an ish. Let's go. Ooh, I love this. This is going to be so much fun. Body cam is going to be brutal. You're going to regret it. I'm an A, Flanagan said as the officer slammed the cruiser door shut, cutting her off mid-sentence. Now, Timothy Ranu, a spokesperson for the Attorney General's office, told the Boston Globe on Monday that Flanagan's request for cops to turn off the camera does not reflect statewide policy and only applies to victims or witnesses of a crime. Yeah, for an effing lawyer, you should know what the statute, who it pertains to, not like the perpetrators of a crime. When a member of the public does object to being recorded on body cam, an officer may determine whether to proceed or not with the recording, according to Newport Police Department's policy, which also notes consent is not necessary to record. Now, Flanagan was immediately uncooperative, questioning our authority and demanding I turned my body camera off, the officer wrote in a police report obtained by the outlet. Now, the state's attorney general's office immediately launched into a review of the incident, according to the publication. Flanagan was later arraigned in court. The Rhode Island attorney general's office did not immediately respond to the Post request for comment. So there you go. Vince, Shizzy and I are doing kind of like a body cam car chase, weird stuff thing before Friday Night Lights. So this is getting earmarked for that because this is going to be nutty. Well, Baker, I'll play this just for Baker. I saw this and realized that he was going to be having a rough day. So here you go.
A dumpster dive and humans forget how to thrive. Take a break, just you and me, with a puppy and kitten, wild and free. Paws and purrs, let's drift away to a land where tails wag and play. No more noise, just gentle muse in our furry four-legged cruise.
To the loathing and despair of Baker, the hiking movies returneth. Ian McKellen shockingly reveals which of the two Lord of the Ring characters will be returning for another film. Now, as a Lord of the Rings nerd, I would like to ask, which the hell other books are you going to do? The Silmarillion? The Lost Tales? The letters he dedicated to, figuring out all our nerdy questions? I kind of like it. Frodo and the Hunt for More Money. Spaceball style. Ian McKellen dropped a magical bomb about the next Lord of the Rings film. During the For Love of Fantasy event in London on Sunday, the 86-year-old actor suggested that he and Elijah Wood are returning for The Hunt for Gollum, which is currently slated for release in December 2027. The Hunt for Gollum, are y'all fucking kidding? Like, seriously, I like Gollum. I love him. Like, he's a fun character to play. And if you've ever seen The Last Piece of Cake and a Diet, you know you've played the My Precious, things. But the Hunt for Gollum, why don't you just, dude, where's my Gollum? I hear there's going to be another movie set in Middle Earth, and it's going to start filming in May. It's going to be directed by Gollum, and it's all about Gollum, but I'll tell you two secrets about the casting, McKellen said in a video from the fan event. all Gollum all the time. There's a character in the movie, he's called Frodo. And there's another character in the movie called Gandalf, he said, returning to characters played by both himself and Wood, respectively. Now, after the audience cheered, McKellen told the crowd, "Apart from that, my lips are sealed." Now, Wood, who was also at the fan event alongside McKellen and their other co-stars, Sean Astin, Dominique Monaghan, and Billy Boyd, along with John Rhys Davis, we're all there. Now, the others didn't really confirm or deny anything. Now, the Post has reached out to Warner Brother for comment. Original Gollum actor Andy Serkis is set to direct and star in The Hunt for Gollum. Okay, we better get a full chapter called Potatoes, because that is what I want. I want a Sean Astin, I want a Samwise Gamgee, Gollum buddy cop movie where they just talk about potatoes and fishes and how hobbitses ruin everything. Like, I want a buddy cop, planes, trains, and Gollum mobiles. I like it. What is going on here? Now, Warner Brothers first announced this film last summer, and Peter Jackson, who directed the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, is producing the upcoming movie with his partners Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens. So there you go. The search for Gollum, Gollum the Fast and the Furious, or Precious, too. I don't know. But there you go. Much to Baker's eternal torment, we are getting more hiking movies. Maybe they'll make it a trilogy and it'll just be hiking in the middle, Baker, just for you. We got a lot of stuff going on in Final Form Jesus stories today. And I mean, who didn't realize that Betty White was down to party? Because I always kind of knew that. I just didn't think she was this down to party. But let's get into the Final Form Jesus stories for your day.
The key-keep scroll, thou gloaming shrine of thirst traps, scams, and dollar signs. We chant in tones both grim and low, for virtue fled a long time ago. Kyrie eleison, Christe descendat, Final Form Jesus return in wrath. With six-pack glistening, sword in hand, he cometh swift to cleanse the land.
Now, y'all, I thought that someone was punking me when I read this, but apparently, Mommy Dearest wasn't the only evil mom, or maternal bonding. She's going to have, look, this child is going to have so much to tell Oprah. A mother donated her daughter's pony to the zoo so it can be devoured by lions. Nothing goes to waste. I mean, this is like frugal, like cheapskate from TLC. This is a little much. Well, hold your horses. A Danish woman donated her daughter's pet pony to a zoo in Denmark. Now, we covered this story before about, donate your local family pet to, feed the wild critters in the zoo. What in the hell is going on here? Now, Pernell Soul reportedly gifted her teenage daughter, Angelina's German riding pony, Chicago 57, to the Aalborg Zoo in the country's northern region. Now, the zookeepers have said they were hoping to mimic the natural food chain of predators by feeding them smaller donated pets. It might sound dramatic and bizarre, but that you would feed your pets to animals in the zoo, Soul 44 told the Times, but they're going to be put down anyways, and it's not like they're alive when they're given to the predators. Oh, this is a family I need to meet behind glass where I can be safe. Now, Aalborg Zoo has asked for donations of healthy animals that need to be given away for various reasons, including guinea pigs, rabbits, chickens, to be gently euthanized before being used as a meal, the facility said in a Facebook post. In zoos, we have a responsibility to imitate the natural food chain of animals in terms of both animal welfare and professional integrity. I don't know, in the same blog post, you should put professional integrity and then can we have all of your, extra puppies? I don't know how that's going to sell well, but holy spadonkles. I don't know that this is a great idea. Now, horses are also accepted and will be, taken over the Rainbow Bridge and then, given to the animals with the owners pocketing a tax deduction. Nothing goes to waste, and we ensure that natural behavior, nutrition, and well-being of our predators, the zoo wrote on Facebook. Now, Sol said her daughter's pony was donated after it was euthanized due to pain from long-term health struggles in 2020. Now, Chicago 57 was suffering from a form of eczema brought on by mosquito bites that became irritated in the summer and unfortunately led to open wounds that, caused an infection. He had to wear a jacket and leg protection toward the end of his life and was 22 when he passed away. Okay, so this story's slightly better in that her daughter didn't want to ride it, and she's like, fine, I'll give it to the little bit easier, but also, wouldn't that infect the meat? Like, I'm not a doctorologist, but if you have a fairly full body, infection, wouldn't that be tainted meat? I'm not trying to be a butthole, but that just, I don't know. They're doctors. I'm sure. I don't think anything is right about this story. I get all of the logical points. I really, really do. But no, this is the sign of the end times. Now, Angelina was just 13 at the time of her beloved pony's death, and Sol gave her the choice as to whether she wanted to donate the pony to, the zoo or not. I gave Angelina the various options, and she chose to go with the zoo because it made most sense. She wanted to follow the food chain, and she wanted Chicago 57 to benefit other animals. Now, Sol, who runs a small farm in Denmark that allows children with mental health issues to spend time with horses, said that the Alberg Zoo, helped Chicago pass on peacefully, and she and her daughter, I guess, were able to be there, which is a comfort. Look, when Fry passed, it was very comforting to be able to hold his paw and give him that comfort as he, passed over. There was a zookeeper standing there and cuddling him as if it was me standing by him. Now, Alberg Zoo houses 3 carnivorous and dangerous species: Asiatic lions, polar bears, and Sumatran tigers. Now, Sol was so impressed with the process that she tried to bring another horse that had passed away to the zoo last year, but was turned down because the horse was taller than the maximum height required for his body to fit in the zoo's refrigerator. His remains were instead repurposed as dog food. Okay, this story is just nuts. And I am so sorry, Debbie Webb. I hope that your mother gets all the care and, support she needs at the hospital. And I will keep you in my thoughts and prayers. Now, the zoo has received, a lot of global backlash in the past few weeks after its Facebook post, requesting the small animal donations went viral. And I do get it, because on the face of it, it does sound rather morbid and awful. And you dig into it and they're trying to do everything ethically, but I just don't know if I can square this circle with this one. I guess well, the tally for this year alone, they have received 22 horses, 173 rabbits, 53 chickens, and 18 guinea pigs. Now, cats and dogs are not, accepted as donations at this time. How the hell many lions are you going to feed with a damn guinea pig? I have so many questions about this. And Betty White, being the queen, was DTF down to, well, Bones star David Boreanaz, which, I mean, to be fair, Angel was one of my first crushes from Buffy. Have to say, though, adult me likes Spike better, so make of that what you will. Betty White apparently made a shocking, lewd first impression on Bones star David Boreanaz. Allegedly, she wanted to jump his bones. Betty White told actor David Boreanaz that she wanted to F him the first time they met on the set of his long-running show Bones. Now, Boreanaz, 56, recalled White arriving to film in 2015 and graciously saying hello to everyone on set. And Emily and I were just waiting for her, and she's like, "Oh, good to see you. Oh, good to see you. Oh, you're so nice. You're so pretty." He recalled during the Bones 20th anniversary retrospective panel at the inaugural Televerse Festival on Saturday, according to People. I mean, hey, Betty, yeah, hey, we might be older, but we still have eyeballs. Now, Boreanaz said that the Emmy winner went up to, Deschanel and complimented her on her good looks before turning to him and spewing an obscene statement. She looks at me and she just goes, "Holy S, I want to F you. Like, I want to F you." I think I would die. Like, I would be dead, Diddee. Look, I can't spell, on the floor if Betty White said that in my presence. I would still be in a coma right at that spot today. Now, it would have been the best moment of my life. I would have remembered it forever. But why don't we have this on film? Someone should have filmed this. Now, Boreanaz said that he just started laughing. Now, Deschanel has no memory of the interaction between her co-star and the late Golden Girls star, but called it amazing to work with Betty White. Their co-star, Tamara Taylor, referred to White as a legendary potty mouth, with TJ Thine dubbing White as a little troublemaker. Now, the panel, moderated by People reporter Sean Mandel, also featured Hart Hansen, Michaela Colin, and Eric Miglin. Now, White appeared as Dr. Beth Mayer in season 11 of the show in 2015, and she reprised her role 2 years later for the series' 12th season. I don't think I got to the 12th season. Now, White was known for her blunt comments over the year and was even called out once by Sally Struthers for fat shaming her in front of other people while filming a game show. The beloved Mary Tyler Moore Show star died on December 31st, 2021, at the age of 99. She was less than 3 weeks away from her 100th birthday. Even though Betty was about to be 100, I thought she would live forever, her agent and close friend, Jeff Walitas, said in a statement at the time. And she was just awesome. I want Betty White back. I miss her terribly, and so will the animal world she loved so much, he continued. I don't think Betty ever feared passing because she always wanted to be with her most beloved husband, Alan Ludden, and she believed she would be with him again. So I am glad that hopefully she is with her husband. And to be fair, I too would if I were free in like all the circumstances and he was free, I would be open to a relationship with Angel as long as he acted like either Angel or Bones. I don't really know David Boreanaz, but I know the characters he plays. So if he could just stay in character the whole time and I were single and he were single, life would be different. I don't know where I'm going with that one. I'm going to blame my lack of sleep, but for the most part, this is just generally how I feel. So really, there is no excuse. But those have been your final form Jesus stories for today. So if you had, donate your horse to the zoo and Betty White was totally gonna grind on Angel, then again, buy me a lotto ticket and share some luck with me. Well, some people who are not feeling so very lucky right now, and again, people wonder why I don't like amusement parks because every other week I do a story like this. Which, is one of those things. A dozen were stranded for about an hour during a scary malfunction on a Six Flags amusement park ride. This is a red flag for a theme park. Thrill seekers at Six Flags America were in for quite a ride over the weekend. 32 people got stuck on a steam whirler at the Bowie, Maryland park for over an hour due to a mechanical malfunction on Saturday. Again, I don't trust carnies and I don't trust the rides they put together. It might be called, severe overcaution or just a love of living life, but I don't tend to put myself in, situations where people I don't know have an engineering degree put things together that possibly require them. Hell, I don't even sit on things I put together from IKEA, okay? I don't even trust me. So at least the standard bears fruit all the way down. Now, one passenger was able to call 911 after the ride unexpectedly stopped about midway, stranding park goers on the track. Emergency crews from Prince George's County Fire and EMS were dispatched to the amusement park and arrived around 3:25 p.m. to assist in the rescue operation. Now, all riders were safely evacuated and evaluated at the scene and cleared by the medical professionals. The steam whirler is described by the park as a moderate thrill, and it features 4 rotating arms that carry up to 8 passengers and has been popular since its 2024 debut. Saturday, however, the ride was not a fan favorite when it halted mid-cycle. Now, Six Flag America confirmed in a statement to People that the steam whirler did not complete its typical cycle and paused before returning to the ground. Now, the park emphasized that all the guests were safely unloaded without injury, and safety remains a cornerstone of its operations. So there you go. I I am glad that no one had a medical related incident, in relation to the machine actually malfunctioning. Now, there was someone who might have experienced increased anxiety or things like that because there is note of a sort of medical emergency that was unrelated to the ride, but they were, transported to the hospital with injuries that weren't considered life-threatening, but it does kind of lead me to believe the way they've worded it, that it was more of maybe an anxiety or panic reaction to being stuck in a small claustrophobic place. Now, this incident comes as Six Flag America nears the end of its 50-year run. Now, this park is scheduled to close permanently on November 2nd after 51 years of operation. Now, 26 of those years have been under the Six Flag names due to financial reasons. So, they went out with a bang. There you go. Oh, that is interesting. Pleasure Beach, Blackpool. Evictus? Interesting. I don't tend to do well on those kind of machines and don't tend to do well on any of that. But there you go. I guess you won't have to worry about Six Flags because they're closing soon. So bankruptcy for the win. In Lord Chippy news, and we have someone who might just need a little scared straight, but she is crazy. So let's meet these, Lord Chippy people, because honestly, one of them, I almost want to give her credit for the amount of evil, malicious creativity she used.
They're our skin, they steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and he don't play games.
Okay, Flux, she's hot, but crazy. So I don't know where that puts her in like the hotness to crazy ratio, but well, she went a little bit mad. Hell hath no fury or sparkle like a woman scorned. A Kentucky woman allegedly destroyed, and I do mean destroyed, her ex-boyfriend's car by putting salt in the gas tank and loading his air conditioning system with glitter, then flashed a killer smile in her glam mugshot. I mean, fair point, she does have a nice rack of justice. But if it's covered in glitter, is it considered a concealed weapon? Don't know. This is a question for someone else. Pregnant 31-year-old. Oh, well, she's pregnant. Oh, look, I mean, this was entrapment. She was obviously under the control of her evil, evil uterus and hormones. She needs to be out of prison. Can someone get a fundraiser for this woman? Pregnant 31-year-old Stephanie Carlquist unleashed her epic torrent of fury on her ex's car after getting in a fight with him early last month. I guess that's why he's her ex. Now, her antics, included pouring salt into the vehicle's engine, putting glitter in its AV vent or AC vent, slashing a tire and cracking its windshield and rear view mirror, also shattering its radio screen. She's very subtle. Now, her ex told police that she slashed the tire during a previous argument, July 6th, but did the rest of the damage July the 15th. Yikes. Now, the results were so extensive to the car that it was simply considered just totaled. The alleged one-woman hurricane of vengeance inflicted was an estimated $13,000 worth of damage. Now, cops say that Carlquist admitted that what she did to the car to a tow truck driver who carted it off and called the victim's mother to tell her what happened. Now, a short time later, Carlquist allegedly messaged her ex-boyfriend on Instagram and apologized, explaining she was stressed out because of her pregnancy. Now, during her interview with police, Carlquist allegedly admitted to cracking the windshield and putting glitter in the vents, but claimed the rest of the damage was due to the car being overdue for an oil change and other services. She was arrested and flashed the wide smile in a mugshot before being booked into, prison on felony criminal mischief charges in lieu of a $12,000 bond. So, if you're mad and you're pregnant, step away from the glitter. I don't know who needs to hear this. Step away from the glitter. On a less lighthearted, though honestly more perplexing and what in the rapture of Walmart is going on here, a son claimed to have decapitated the quote-unquote evilest dad and carried his head in a plastic bag to another home. As you do. Just on a weekday. Oh, good, it's Indiana. Makes perfect effing sense. Hoosier, there's more than corn in Indiana. There's decapitation. Cops in Indiana made a grisly discovery when they found the body of a victim decapitated in his own home and later recovered the head at another home. Because, he needed more headspace in his new apartment. It all began about 10 a.m. on Friday when the ex-wife of the victim, 73-year-old Eric von Winnick Sr., called police and requested a welfare check at his home in Jeffersonville, which sits along the Hoosier state border with Kentucky. This explains a lot. Now, she was concerned for his safety because he and their son, 33-year-old Bryce William Winnick, were having problems. A probable cause arrest affidavit obtained by Law and Crime said. This is going to sound graphic, but his head was cut off, a 911 caller said, according to local NBC affiliate WAVE. We don't know where his head is. Now, cops went inside and made the shocking discovery. It was a very apparent homicide, Jeffersonville Police Detective Sam Moss told reporters. In other obvious news, the sky is still blue and days still end with Y. Now, the victim was discovered in his bedroom with significant evidence of defensive wounds, along with multiple stab wounds to his chest. Now, there was blood spatter all over the walls of the bedroom. Investigators wrote that they recovered a large knife with a blade roughly 1 foot long and a deformity that likely occurred when it came into contact with hard substances. Now, as investigators surveyed the scene, Bryce spoke with his mother, who was at the victim's home, on the phone. I killed him, he allegedly told his mother. I went over to Dad's because he's the evilest person that ever lived. I cut off his head. Now, officers learned that he was at his mother's house roughly a mile away on Callahan Drive, allegedly carrying a plastic bag that was roughly, the size of a human head. He was also holding a knife and ran inside when he saw police refusing to come out. Now, the SWAT team had to respond to the house, and after tossing a flashbang inside the home, they were able to get him outside after 4 hours. Following the standoff, police went inside where they discovered the victim's head in the son's bedroom, per the affidavit. And I will be keeping tracks on this because this is in my home state and I should be able to cover at least the hearings. But this is crazy that could only come out of Indiana. Let's keep in mind we have a family that was affected by the result of this. Chief Kenny Kavanaugh said, adding that the scene was horrific. Now, Bryce Winneke stands accused of murder and abuse of a corpse and remains in Clark County Jail. Now, neighbors on Summerlin Place, where the original crime scene occurred, were really stunned. It's really kind of shocking because it's a safe neighborhood, Randy Snyder told local CBS affiliate WLKY. When families have issues, it can hit anywhere, just anywhere, so it's sad. Yeah, so this is one that I'll definitely be keeping up with as it's local. I should be able to, not local, but it's in the same state. So I should be able to, keep up with it. Now, what in the Peyton's Place on discount is going on here? He was my best friend, now he's dead meat. A woman whose boyfriend shot his former best friend in the groin because he was trying to manipulate her learns her fate. Get your pieces of paper and your little, lines out, because this is all crazy. Now, on the same day that her boyfriend received a life sentence for murder, a Virginia woman pled guilty to her role in the same crime. Kaylee Turner, 21, entered a plea of guilty to first-degree murder as a principal in the second degree on Friday afternoon, just hours after her boyfriend, 24-year-old Dustin Dove, was given a life sentence for murdering 22-year-old Seth Wallace. Now, as Law and Crime previously reported, Dove was convicted of killing Wallace when he believed that Wallace had been inappropriate with his girlfriend, Turner, while Dove was in jail. Now, before May 2024, Dove and Wallace had been best friends. Now, the relationship between both Dove and Wallace began in 2022, but went sour when Dove was convicted of drug charges in early 2024. Now, Turner, so the girl, told her boyfriend that Wallace was being fresh with her. And the two men then began engaging in you leave my woman alone. I'm not doing nothing to your woman. So that kind of thing. Now, a digital forensic expert read the messages aloud in court. WHSV reported, with messages including, "Dog, I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to get away with it." Newsflash, he didn't. At some point, Dove even said, or was said to have recorded videos wearing a mask and holding an AR-style, force multiplier used in the shooting. Now, according to Dove's defense attorney, Wallace told Turner that Dove was manipulating her by saying Dove was cheating on her. Now, in the early morning hours of May 25th, 2024, Turner and Dove were exchanging texts that indicated that they were going to go to a location where they knew that Wallace would be. Investigators said that Turner drove herself and Dove to Wallace's location after telling him that she was on her way. At 4:17 a.m., Wallace called Turner, but it was not known whether the call was ever answered. Now, according to investigators, Wallace was shot between 4:18 a.m. and 4:20. Later that morning, Turner texted Wallace, "Help, he's got me at gunpoint," in an attempt to cover up her involvement in the shooting. Now, unfortunately, Wallace passed away from infection caused by 9 gunshot wounds 2 weeks after he passed away. Yeah, Flux, I don't get if he was cheating on you in a men's prison, then there might not be much of a relationship there unless you discussed him being bi beforehand. Now, months after Wallace died, Dove is said to have written a rap song and sung about it over a jail line with phrases including, "I don't duck murders. He was my best friend. Now he's dead meat." Now, according to courtroom coverage by the Santon News Leader, Turner apologized at her sentencing, saying, "I'm very sorry, and I apologize for my actions in this situation." Now, the outlet reported that Judge Paul Dreyer was not happy with the plea deal, saying Turner did not even seem to show remorse for her actions. Now, Turner was sentenced to an active prison term of 11 years and 6 months, with 18 years and 6 months suspended plus 5 years probation. Now, if she violates that probation, she may be required to be incarcerated for the full 30-year sentence. So, just a stupid story with a bunch of, young people acting like it's high school, but bringing real world, weapons to a high school fight. And it's just incredibly sad that, essentially 3 families have lost their loved ones, one to death and the other 2 to prison and poor lifestyle choices. It's just maddening. Well, this little leaguer has no desire to meet overrated Juan Soto. As I don't know who Juan Soto is, I don't really care to meet him either. But that's more because I don't like to people outside of my bedroom than any, overratedness that he might have as a sports ball player. Juan Soto's all-star exploits haven't endeared him to everyone. On Sunday morning, just hours before Soto's Mets would face off against the Mariners in an MLB Little League Classic, the Vancouver and Brisbane squads faced off, with Canadian broadcaster TSN inquiring which MLB stars the youngsters were excited to meet later in the day. Now, Team Canada's Misha Lee did not hold back after his Australian counterpart answered with Soto. He's kind of overrated, Lee said. He's all right. Now, Lee is a pitcher first base person for the Canucks side and revealed he was much more interested in getting a glimpse of the big dumper himself. The big dumper? I'm hoping it doesn't have a number 2 reference. Mariners catcher Carl Raleigh. Canada certainly channeled their favorite sluggers, racking up over 13 hits over 6 innings and posting 5 runs in the 5th frame, en route to a 12-0 win over the Aussies. I know these are English, but I don't understand what's going on. Many of the young fans in attendance, however, asked for and received a show from Soto, who entered the stadium to adoring fans and stopped to sign autographs. In the bottom of the 8th, Little Leaguers began to chant for the Dominican superstar's patented Soto Shuffle, and he delivered a delightful scene. Now, Soto's final line, 0 for 2 with 3 walks and stolen bases, may not have been the power display that kids were hoping for. The Mets won their 2nd straight game, a feat not accomplished in weeks. So, good job on the sports ball. And you know what, Mr. Soto? I don't think you're overrated. But I also don't know what you do in your sports ball team either. So, but congratulations on doing something in a shuffle. Now, I don't know who needs this story, but I need this story because who's going with me on like 5 gallons of zuppa des Toscana soup? For those of you fluffy kids and those of us that wish we were just eating breadsticks and soup and salad all day, no questions asked without having to people, do I have a story for you? To all my inside cats out there, you too can get an entire bucket full of Olive Garden soup. Now, I was today years old when I learned about this, and now I have to entice Mr. Mo into spending nearly $30 on a bucket of soup that I don't have to cook myself. Olive Garden has a secret dinner hack that customers are shocked to discover. It's been a dream. Olive Garden fans have discovered that there is a super secret menu hack. Olive Garden, fans have discovered it is possible to buy an entire bucket of soup. Yes, a bucket, a trough of soup. In the restaurant's 4 beloved soup varieties, chicken and gnocchi, pasti fagioli, minestrone, and zuppa toscana. Now, videos have been circulating on social media featuring Olive Garden takeout orders that show a white bucket just filled with soup. Yes, and please and thank you. To be fair, I'm not a big fan of restaurants with pasta in them. I feel like I can boil water. That being said, Olive Garden soup, I'm there. Salad, eh. Their dressing, though, their dressing and breadsticks, yes. Yes, thank you. The trick to getting this oversized soup order is to order from the catering menu. Just click on the restaurant's catering menu online, and after selecting Order Now, you'll be asked to choose your order type. Simply select the catering option, and you'll be given options of large serving of Olive Garden favorites. Now, to be fair, as much as I joke that I will be buying this giant bowl of soup, I will probably go out and buy the ingredients to make two large bowls of the or two large pots of this soup and spend less than what it's going to cost you. Now, I do have the kind of copycat recipe if you want me to share that at some point. I do have a tripod where I can in theory put my phone, so I was going to start showing you guys some different stuff around the house. I just have to take it out of the box. Look, I don't open technically stuff until Mr. Mo is in an area where he can help me. Now, if you're ordering to go on phone or in person, simply ask for the catering menu as well. Now, there are two options: half gallon, about 6 servings, or a full gallon, about 12 serving. Now, the price per gallon varies on the location of the Olive Garden. For example, a location in New York City's Times Square charges $20.29 for a half gallon and $31.99 for a gallon. Now, Olive Garden is glad to see that the social media, highlighting the sort of catering sizes is working. I know, JKD Buck, but soup sounds really good today. Look, I could eat soup in the middle of a heat wave. It just sounds really good, so I'm going to try to see if Mr. Mo will let me go get all the ingredients, and then I'll throw it together. And it includes bacon and potatoes, which I think we've already established. I'm very Hobbit-like in my love and devotion to potatoes. So there you go. If you need to figure out a dinner and you don't want to make the soup yourself, you can get it from Olive Garden. And in our final story, because we needed a little bit of, just good stories and good people are still out there. A Long Island man met, the family of a stranger who donated their life-saving liver to them. To him. She was my angel. Claire Rossi loved giving gifts, and her most important one saved a Long Island grandfather's life. Rossi became an angel to Carlos Riley when her Patahucci family, I'm sorry, family donated the late great-grandmother's liver to the Comac native, paving the way for a heartfelt meeting on Monday. What she didn't know me, she just did it to save someone, to save a life. An emotional Riley, 65, said in front of Rossi's relatives, including her husband of 55 years, at the headquarters for the nonprofit organ donation group Live On New York in Long Island City, Queens. Without her, I wouldn't be here, said Rossi, who was within months of dying without the organ donation. She was like my angel, he said, of the 70-year-old Rossi. Just put it that way, she was my angel. She saved my life in combination with the doctors. Loved ones, said Rossi, who lived in Queens and later on Long Island, enjoyed despoiling her family with Italian food and presents, especially around the holidays, and donating bundles of clothes to strangers in need. Doing for others was her love language, they said. She died in February 2024, while she wasn't listed as an organ donor, her family decided she could offer one last gift. Riley received his new liver on the 29th of that month. So this was her last gift, and I couldn't be more proud of her, said the donor's 55-year-old daughter, Annalisa Rossi. I know she's smiling, and I know she's happy because this is something she really loved to do all her life. Riley, who was joined by his wife and daughter, said he never thought he'd connect with the donors after doctors delivered grim news to him. One day, the doctors told me, "You drink too much." They told me if I don't have a liver donor, I'm going to die in a few months. So one day they called me and said, "We've got a liver for you." I didn't know anything. I just knew I still was alive and I had an opportunity to live longer. As he was recovering from his donation surgery, Rossi's family mailed him a beautiful letter asking how he was doing and hoping to meet one day. Now, Riley and Rossi's family both wrote back and forth for months leading up to the meeting, where Riley would report that his blood work is now fine and his liver is working perfectly. Now, I'm not surprised. It's an Italian liver, he quipped. While Riley oozes of appreciation, Rossi's family said it also had plenty to give thanks for. "I just wanted to say thank you because this kind of helped keep my grandma's name alive and live on. It's helping her live on," said granddaughter Alyssa Morales, 33. "It was like keeping her spirit alive kind of made her passing a bit easier, knowing she saved someone's life." Now, her widower, Joseph Rossi, can't help but missing his wife, but told Riley, "I'm so glad she saved your life. I'm so happy she saved a life." So just a wonderful story about a family, dealing with heartbreak who decided to reach out and help another family. And, you know, there are millions of these stories, hundreds of everyday miracles and stories of all the good things that go on like this in the world. And I just tend to find the butthole Botox stories. But I decided to start sprinkling in these hope for humanity stories to kind of counteract the final form Jesus stories. So hopefully you're liking how this, Mornings with Mo is growing and evolving. I hope you're liking, for those of you, if you don't have a long enough time, you can get your final form Jesus and your Lord Chippy Bites, and you don't have to watch the full stream, and people can, kind of get hip to what we're doing here at Mornings with Mo. So, I can become rich and famous like Oprah. This really is a ploy to just get me more Sailor Moon stuff. I'm just kidding. No, I am trying to improve, so I hope you're enjoying. Yes, Lexi, I did do several stories about butthole Botox. My life is a rich and interesting one, and I just don't know how to put all the things I covered on my LinkedIn profile. That being said, thank you as every morning sharing your time with me. I do have you guys set up to be redirected. We are starting the Christopher Wolfenberger case today. So at 10 a.m., we are going to start opening statements. I did do a short, about 17 minute video where I go over an article about this case. It's actually extremely fascinating. You've got a 21-year-old, mother of two wife who went missing. Remains were found about 5 months later, but not identified for several years until her father was convicted or caught for 4 murders. And the remains that were found, decapitated as well, were linked back to this, multiple murderers, as his daughter. It's a crazy case. You do almost need about 15 minutes to explain this. I believe they are on either day 3 or 4. So we are actually, striking while the iron is mildly warm for Petty Express. So hope to see you there. Because this is going to be a long one. We will probably get through opening statements and some of day 1 today, and then continue on in similar fashion as we go on. Hopefully going to try to have some longer stream days so we can get through this a bit rapidly, but that is the general hope today, of getting at least the opening statements done and then continuing on with this crazy, crazy trial. So I will see you guys there. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I will chat at you later. Bye, you guys.